And at that point, they come together about 82, 83.
Who's that?
The Westies and
Well, he starts, so that's a whole kind of sub-question,
right.
which would be, fact is he actually started orchestrating his affairs with the Westies while he's still in prison. And you can go in and tell them, they ask you if you had somebody on the streets, and you explain to them you had
79 going into 80.
So we talked about the neighborly partners and real estate thing, you know, and again, it's when the world again, right following up that legend or that story about the men who sell heroin, when they kind of told the whole world who Courtney Brown was, what he was doing with Eddie Jackson. They followed up the next week, because again, in 1973, what Courtney Brown was doing as far as his association with Eddie Jackson was the biggest news in Detroit. What do they say here? Detroit drug bosses identified, and it's a picture of our house, it's a picture of Eddie's house. We've got some great footage, you know, if you check out BigBossFilmworks.com on that. The newspaper is saying this is March 28th, 1973, again, when my dad really began, the secret got out. Everybody in the streets knew what he was doing, but this is when the public, when John Q. Public, when all our neighbors in Southfield and everybody kind of knew, hey, this guy Courtney Brown is in the middle of it. And they got here Jackson's home at the right. It's a suburban home of 29-year-old Eddie Jackson. And at the left is his chief associate, 32-year-old Courtney Brown. Jackson is called the major heroin dealer of Detroit and has been convicted in Pennsylvania and now is awaiting trial. Of course, that is when him and 5-0 got popped, coming back from New York while on federal indictment, got popped driving my mom's Eldorado. Much to my mother's chagrin, in this article they go on to talk about that Eddie Jackson was driving Teresa Brown's car. But so that's how the secret and the legend of Courtney Brown and what he was doing working with Eddie really started to come out. So again, that was like the first phase of that's when the nickname and all in those press stories, they talk about, you know, all the nicknames, Mr. Vice President, the Field Marshal, the Professor, the Teacher, all of that kind of thing. It would go on, you know, other stories they would write when they're talking like about Eddie in our house. The big man of dope lives posh life in Detroit suburbs. That also is from that Detroit News, March the 28th, 1973 story. So, and then, you know, I think you guys are a little familiar what happens. They keep that case in court all throughout the 70s. By the end of the 70s, they have to go sit down. Then he gets out in 84. Now, while the old man is already in jail, though, he is reconnected with, and as the legend of this story. Again, you got to understand, when you've worked with Eddie Jackson, and Eddie's reputation and the thing that he had put down was so over the top, and everybody who was in the life had come to know who Eddie Jackson was and what his organization had accomplished. When your resume in the federal penitentiary is you are the number 2 man to Eddie Jackson, you are pretty much carte blanche. So as the old man, and this is like I'm in high school, so the old man is at Milan Federal Penitentiary. Some guys connected to the Gambino crime family, they were actually members of the Westies, which is an Irish gang out of New York, and the Boston Irish mob. Cut into him and said, you know what? As Pops tells the story, they're like, ain't you the big man's man? And Pops is like, who you talking about, Eddie? And he was like, yeah, Eddie, that was my man. Yeah, I work for him. And they like, well, we heard from the Italian friends that y'all was it, and if you want to do a little work, let's do some work. So Pops starts putting this thing together, messing with this Irish mob connection, the Westies, via being referred by the Italian mob being referred because of his working with Eddie and Eddie's reputation with the Italian mob. So whether it's corporate America or the streets, you're only as good as your resume, right? And so again, let's run the numbers. So we know that in the 70s, they're doing, $10 to $100,000 a day business. He's helping orchestrate, working for Eddie. Now in the 80s, while he's in jail, in the federal penitentiary, he's pulling plugs, which allowed me, again, while I'm here giving him his flowers. My dad's locked up. I'm still going to private schools because he's making things happen while he's still locked up. So he has his adding on to his resume that I didn't add in the beginning of this conversation. Besides working with Eddie, running the biggest, being the number 2 man and the biggest thing ever to hit this town. What he puts down in the late 70s with Mr. B coming out of the islands, coming out of the Bahamas. Then when he puts down with Ota and the Nigerian crew. Then when he puts down with Muhammad and the Pakistani crew. But in that resume should be added the work he did while locked up with the Irish mob. So he does that thing, he puts down his game with the Irish mob while he's locked up. When he comes out, he continues hustling with them. There will be some deaths. Some of the guys who were integral in that connection end up passing away. Shout out to Big Paulie. May he rest in peace. Big Paulie was the conduit between the Italian mob, the Irish mob, and my old man. And so those who don't know or who get it twisted when I'm here on YouTube talking, my life in the streets has been working in behalf in my father's name. What I know, who I know, what I've been exposed to and have been able to see has been in my father's name. So I dealt with Big Paulie and, my man, the connection from the Irish mob and all of that. But again, that was in my father's name. What's happening, family? It's your man, Courtney Robert Brown Jr., still live, West Africa, Dakar, Senegal. We're here to talk about a little bit today, which was our follow-up project after we had came out with the award-winning book, Motown Mafia, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid. I don't know if everyone knows, but we actually did another book that wasn't related to the story of my father and Eddie, and that was Mind Right, Money Right. It was kind of our way of giving back. I wanted to share some of the insights and some things that allowed me to have the business success I've had and how that came from. Because it's all about exposure, family. When you think bigger, when you've seen bigger, you think bigger. When you know better, you do better. So as I'm sitting here in West Africa, chapter 1 in this book is called When We Were Kings. And I don't know, for you, a lot of people out there, family, may not know that by academia, by schooling, I am a historian. So I've always had a great interest in where I am, where I come from, and what I'm about. In fact, just recently, I took that Ancestry.com test. They send you a little kit, and you send them a little saliva sample, and they can actually tell you, family, where you come from here. So, like, I'm 60% Nigerian, a little bit from Ghana, a little bit from what is now Angola. So, because I think, we talk about in this chapter, When We Were Kings, if we understood that every African American has a cousin and family member here on the continent of Africa, likely in South America, if the brothers and sisters here in Africa understood that they got cousins, we'd put this thing together and we'd be getting money together. And once we figure out that whether you're in South Carolina or Senegal, where I'm at, we're all in the same boat together. So, I was reviewing the book, When We Were Kings. We talk about the black man, Mansa Musa, was the richest man that the world has ever known. And that's according to Forbes magazine, right? So if you're not hip on Mansa Musa, Google up that name. His empire was right here where I'm sitting now. And just to kind of inspire you, because it wasn't that long ago that a black man was king of this land and controlled the world's controlled the world's gold, silver, salt, and was regarded as the
He was the richest man of his time and the richest man the world has ever known. And if we understood that we come from kings, that's not just something that the Hotep brothers and sisters be saying, but it's the truth. So we can all do a little bit better. But in these times we live now, man, with all this going on, you know, this George Floyd thing, the police shooting us, the things and struggles that's going over here on the continent, and really just we as people of color all over the world, the situation we find ourselves in. You know, get this book a read, man. I'm not just saying as a plug. In fact, I think I'm going to do a little promotion when I get back, really make it accessible. It'll give you some real insights to really be able to connect the dots. So that's Getting Off Zero, named after Brother Ray Tatum's company down in Atlanta. You know, we hooked up about, that was in 07, and Big Boss Filmworks and Getting Off Zero have been doing business together ever since. And our theory is simply this, brothers and sisters. If you get your mind right, you'll get your money right. And once you get your money right, you can come enjoy some of this beautiful thing that we call planet Earth. So holla at your man. Again, 10-year anniversary of Big Boss Filmworks. We are really, really happy and proud. We thank you guys so much. Check out our catalog. Getting Off Zero, Mind Right, Money Right. You want more of the real intel, detailed stories on how Pops and Eddie Jackson, the Fat Man, put it down in the 70s. Pick up the book, Motown Mafia, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid. You got Amazon. Check out the doc, Motown Mafia, the story of Eddie Jackson and Courtney Brown. And also, our newest works, Motown Mafia, Big Man on Campus. Give us a shout. 10-year anniversary, Big Boss Filmworks, BigBossFilmworks.com. Salute, peace, and thank you all. I'm out.